We have the footage.
And greetings, everyone. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. I want to remind everybody, hit that like, share, and subscribe button down below. There's a PayPal button for anybody who wants to share some love in the details. And of course, we posted the StreamYard link for anybody who wants to come join the panel. And we've got John here with us again tonight. How you doing tonight, John?
Doing good, Keith. How are you?
Good, good. Enjoying the lovely weather. We hit 70 degrees again today. We had 75 yesterday. We got 70 something today. It's supposed to be kind of nice all week, so we're looking for a good spring opener.
Whoa, good. Enjoy. Yeah, today I went and bought a gallon of milk, so I guess I was a purchasing agent. Then I drove it home, so that means I'm a transport agent.
Yep. So, and you made that transfer property from the benefactor to the beneficiary at the principal place of business. Now he's going to use that property as an investment, or he's going to consume it, which is fraud, waste, or abuse. That's a consumer. It's amazing how these definitions work out. But anyway.
Well, if I'm a customer, does that mean I cuss to the merchant? Maybe.
Yeah, that could be. That could be the discussion, though. Never know. English language is an amazing thing, folks. So we're going to get into it again tonight with the third part of the private banking from KRISTINA Wilson Private Bank, Estate and Trust. And again, the links are in the details section for her site, as well as these three cancellation of debt videos. And tonight we're going on to that 1099-C and how to fill that out and the purpose. And again, remember, this is in relations to the post office. This relates to that expenses incidental to transfer of title to the agency, expenses incidental to transfer of title to the United States, expenses incidental to transfer of title to the Postal Service. Every last one of them is a transfer. It's a transfer of property. The property is the title. The title is notated in documentation, and it's documentary evidence of an obligation or other security of the United States in a tax treaty with the Postal Service. So that's why everything is related to the post office. Again, remember, taxes are duly paid by stamp. One of the first monetary systems that was developed was or paper monetary system was the stamps. So let's get into it, see what this 1099-C is.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I had a bit of a hiccup in the last video. I know you heard me say a bad word at the end. I do apologize. I got a little bit frustrated, but back on the topic. And so, okay, so in box number 1, if you remember on the instrument, my transmitting utility, my banker, my fiduciary gave authorization to my estate to facilitate the rest of this transaction, which is why my estate is listed as the creditor, because the responsible party, the transmitting utility, the fiduciary, the banker ordered it. He said so. She said so. Okay.
And this is in relation to how she was speaking about her persons. Each one of those is one of her persons. It may, in fact, even be the same person, but just functioning differently. So it's a matter of, again, understanding the hats that all these different terms and stuff imply as in reference to that transfer of property, and whether the signature is going to give up all rights, titles, and interest to the property.
Okay, and so again, we're using our estate for asset protection purposes. This is why I told you to don't just buy my
asset protections, because in a trust, things are already set accordingly. That's as set. There is no presumption. That's the breaking of the presumption. Now it's as set. It cannot be dispositioned because it is already set here. When it comes to the securities, you can have an initial public offering called an IPO if you are incorporated in such a fashion that you can issue bonds or stocks or certificates from your corporate entity as an investment. Or you can be a private placement. Private placement. That's as set. Everything else is being used as an investment, and that investment is a collateralization. In other words, a documentation of the asset. Whereas in here, with this, the title and everything, we're talking about the actual intangible asset, which is the property, and that's what has to be as set. When it comes out intellectual property and it isn't clarified, it's a presumption.
I don't want you to just buy it just to throw your money at me. I want you to really read the ebook and understand why you're doing any of this. Why?
And that's a good statement there. I don't want anybody throwing money at me. I understand that it might be hard for me, and I might have some donations coming in because of that, and I certainly appreciate all the donations, most surely. But in the end game, the long game, my effect is to be able to show people how to do this themselves so that they don't have to spend the money. See, every time you spend that money, what you're in fact doing is enforcing the debt instrumentality. You're enforcing that debt. And when I get ready to do my stream tomorrow night, we're going to go in on some definitions from 31 U.S. Code and 31 CFR. Again, money and finance, to help explain this. When you do this paperwork correctly, what you're doing is canceling a debt which is the stopping of the funds being paid by the United States. That's a deferment of a debt. It's the same thing. You're going to defer the debt until a later time. You're going to stop the payment that is being funded by the United States because that's a debt instrument. That's creating a greater debt. So if you defer the payment or cancel the debt, that debt no longer exists in the documentation. It's an indemnification. It's an armistice. It's a treaty. It's a treaty to continue on doing business without holding fault, blame, or anything, despite any harm, damage, or loss, because all parties agree to suffer that equally. And that's the initial parts of a valid contract, is the equal consideration, equal benefit. And if there is detriment, then it's supposed to be shared among all parties for that very same concept and principle of the equal consideration, equal benefit.
Just give me your money if you're not going to take it seriously. Okay, really read the ebook, read the SS4. Who was the responsible party on that SS4? It was my banker. It was my transmitting utility. It isn't me. I'm not the same entity as that piece of paper. Okay.
And that's why you don't even need the SS4 or the SS5. They're, like I've said all along, they are already assigned as these trustees. And in a trust, a beneficiary is not required to do anything except receive the gift. There's no obligation in receipt of a gift. You don't say, I'm going to gift you this, but you have to gift me something in return. That would be a contract within a trust.
Is that why they have an obligor number, Keith, to define a beneficiary? Yeah.
Yes. That's showing that the obligation is connected to the benefit. See, there isn't an obligation to transfer property unless there's somebody that's supposed to beneficially receive it. So if you hold the property and you invest in that property and you don't pass on the profit or the benefit of benefiting from that property to the beneficiary equally, that is malfeasance of trust. You're denying the beneficiary his right in the property by investing in it and using it for your own emoluments. And that's not the way a trust works. If you're going to invest beneficiary property, it has to be for the benefit of the beneficiary, and therefore they have to receive the benefit. If they don't receive the benefit because somewhere along the line in that investment, somebody claims that it was abandoned, I'm sorry, but a trustee can't abandon property. You see the problem? If the record presumes everybody's a trustee, like I've said, where are all the beneficiaries that are abandoning the damn property? Because it certainly wasn't abandoned by the grantee. He's the one that specifically allowed the trustee to hold it so it could be passed to the beneficiary. These are all inconsistencies in the way these people think this system operates because they're just doing their job and nobody understands that they're operating in a trust. I don't care what your contract says. You have a greater obligation to the debt.
I just control that piece of paper. You need to understand that. You're not the paper. You just control it. Okay? And so in the creditor's
Yeah, that's holder in due course. You have the right to enforce as holder in due course. So when they give you those applications and stuff and you don't understand the language, you're considered abandoning property as a trustee. How can that be? If you're signing the document and being presumed to be a trustee, they can't say that you're abandoning the property. Therefore, it can only be an investment.
And well, I should have blocked out my estate EIN, but that's okay. You can't call the IRS, and the IRS won't tell you what my social security number is, so it's okay that my EIN number is exposed on this 1099-C. And so in the debtor section, again, Reliant Energy Retail Holdings, LLC. Now,
and notice that says Reliant Energy Retail Holdings. See, that's just like PayPal. PayPal is a holding corporation. They're only supposed to hold property. What property are they holding if they're a transmitting utility for energy sources? Is that the property? No, that's a benefit. The property they're holding, again, is that title, and they claim that you abandoned the title by not signing that document appropriately as the beneficiary enabled to settle the matters. A trustee can't settle matters. He can't settle them. All he can do is go by the directive. And the directive is the trustee has taken upon an assignment by a grantee to pass the property to the beneficiary. So the only thing that really needs to happen is the beneficiary needs to step up and make a claim on the property.
Now, this name is different from the legal name. Reliance doing business as name, they just do business as Reliant, but their legal name is different from their DBA.
And that you can see on the SEC agreements. That's like Google and YouTube and StreamYard. They all have their own DBAs as those corporations, but under the SEC, they're listed as a franchise of ABC Incorporated. So those are just they're doing business as
the street address is the physical address to the corporate headquarters.
So it's actually ABC Incorporated. And on the Google platform, they're doing business as Google. On YouTube, they're doing business as YouTube. On StreamYard, they're doing business as StreamYard. This is why you need a Gmail address to open up a YouTube account or a StreamYard account. They're all connected to that ABC Corporation.
Here in Texas, they have a headquarters here in Texas, okay? The physical address and the mailing address are different, and I'm going to briefly explain to you the differences, okay? And so at the bottom where you see account number, I want you to tell me where did that number come from? Because remember, I discussed with you the reason why we don't use the account number that the utility company gave us, because they are foreigners. They're giving us an account number to an offshore account so that we'll send our payment to that account. And no, we're not gonna do that.
And that's a connected account, and there may be many other or several other or none, I don't know, connected accounts in between that account and the master account.
These
We're
are
going
linked
to
accounts,
tie
right,
this
Keith?
transaction.
Correct, linked accounts. That's 31 CFR 363.10. What is a TDA, Treasury Direct Account? And under that, you'll have definitions of the conversion account, linked account, primary account, minor account, and a couple others.
Action to the land jurisdiction, which is the post office. Okay, so what you don't know is that there are two entities operating out of the post office. You have us, which is the United States Post Office, and then you have the United States Postal Service. Okay, those two entities are operating out of the post office, and the de jure is the post office. It was here first, and then from that, the Postal Service came into existence. But they can only exist because, I mean, we fund them, we give them money, and if we just
Because it's the people that pay the taxes. No matter how you look at it, it's the people that pay the taxes. A corporation only pays taxes because the people created it. This is the element of the literary and artistic protections of the Treaty of Berne, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, copyrights, trade names, trademarks, patents. It's all about what you create.
decide to stop giving them money, then the United States Postal Service won't exist anymore. But they provide us with a good service, so we'll let them exist for the time being. Okay.
You have to. If you understand, again, that equity was merged with common law, admiralty and maritime is the extension of the law of the sea onto the law of the land. Trust is the merger of contracts in trust. It's all the merging to show that there are two elements, one that is obligated, one is the one that grants. So even as a beneficiary, despite the concept that a beneficiary is not required to do anything, in general, the benefactor must, because again, if it's the benefactor that gives to the beneficiary would not receive if not for the benefactor having first done so. Therefore, there is a requirement. It's just not presumed to be an obligation. There's the difference. Once the gift is given in a trust situation, now there's an obligation because now there's a trustee. But again, a trust shall not fail for want of trustee, because as a simple gift, you can just give it to the beneficiary, and there is no other. It's an instantaneous trust. It doesn't require a trustee. The trust was accomplished. The contract, again, contract with time. So it's an extension of time where somebody's going to hold the property because the beneficiary isn't found yet, isn't known yet, or isn't of age yet.
They make life easier. They facilitate our transactions and move our mail around. Mail is a secret word for money. In case.
So nobody can get away with, now that I've done my research, nobody can get away with saying that they can't find him or that he's unnamed. He merely needs to know that he's the benefactor and needs to come forth and make that claim upon age of majority. That's the only distinction left. Kick out all the presumptions. The only distinction left is the benefactor needs to step up and make that claim. That's it.
case you didn't know, mail is a secret, M-A-I-L, is secret for money. Okay, that account number, if you had time to think about it, is the certified mail number that was affixed to the utility bill that I showed you earlier. Okay, if you read
That's that number on that green certificate.
the 1099-C instructions,
Basically what she did, like I said before in relations to adoption, is she basically adopted the document, line item vetoed, put her private placement on top, and reassigned a new account number with an agreement with the land jurisdiction, the post office, through its trustee, the registered agent, Postal Service, by using one of its products as prima facie evidence on the face, not in the ink in the document. Remember the signature on the document, therefore not liable for the person named in the instrument. So we have a placement, a private placement on the instrument, removing liability from everybody and directing it to be set off, discharged, canceled, whatever the process you're going to use.
it says that the account number is
Thin
whatever
red line
number
movie, Keith.
that the creditor.
Get it?
Say what?
That's why we had the thin red line, the movie. At least the
Oh,
title.
Yeah, I've been thinking about even doing some more movie reviews, and that was one of the ones I might think about doing.
Assigned to the transaction. We don't let them assign account numbers to us, because if we do that, if we use their account numbers, they're going to funnel our money into an offshore account, because all of these I want to go step out on a limb and say just about all of them are foreign. So at any time, like for example, I think
I'm going to step right on out onto that last leaf and say it is foreign. Again, once you're born, you are now foreign to your mother. You are your own individual life force. Everybody is foreign. Even if you're familial, you're still foreign.
I told you about T-Mobile. T-Mobile is German. T-Mobile is not American. So Germany's sitting here listening to our damn calls, tapping our phones, finding out what we're over here talking about and what we're doing, and all in our business. Okay, that's what these corporations are.
We did allow it, Dean, and that's what we're working on now. And again, I got to give everybody a heads up here. And Dean is a lion of the house of Judah. Him and Robin both, I guess. And we're looking at just making sure that we quit allowing the things that we've been allowing by stepping up to the plate and in learning through our own experiences the paramount knowledge that we need to in order to govern ourselves, and that is the plenary powers. What is it to be able to do your own accounting? What is it to be able to do your own legal work? What is it to be able to do your own educating of your own children instead of using a dogmatic public education system? What is it to learn your own politics? What is it to really research deep into the spiritual context of the various different world's religions and determine for yourself whether the religion your mom and dad brought you up in is really what aligns with you or not? See, these are the things people don't think about because they like the convenience and comfort of society. It makes it so much easier to let everybody else make your decisions for you.
Are doing, collecting and gathering information on us to find better ways to rob us and to mimic us and to pretend that they are us. Okay, so I place this 1099-C as a part of the transaction. And so in the accounts number section, that certified mail number goes there. And I want y'all to fact check me by going to read the instructions on the 1099-C, where they plainly tell you that the account number is whatever number you say it is. And so the number that I strongly recommend that you put in that account number section is a registered mail number.
And again, that's because when you adopt things, there's an automatic change. When you're adopted as a child, they change the last name. I'm sure they kept the same social security number. They might have changed the number on the back as far as the credit routing, but the social security number is probably still the same. I don't know. I would have to look back into the hospital records for anything I might have been taken to the hospital for when I was a kid and check that number there. But again, does it really make a difference when you understand that the individual's name and number identify the record? It doesn't identify me. It identified the record. So the only thing that truly changed was the record. So when my mom got all hype and mad at me and told me that I should just that I was disowned, the family disowned me and I should just change my last name, the gravity of that is the last name really never fucking changed to begin with.
Or a certified mail number, no other number, no social security number, no account number that was given to you by the corporation, because that's an offshore account. We don't use their numbers. They do what we say, not the other way around. Okay?
You understand that? And realize when you put this stuff down on their documentation in the right fashion, it's not a matter of them feeling like you're telling them to do something. They're only following the directive on the paperwork. And if the paperwork is correct, it goes through. If it doesn't, they just send it back. You're not making a confrontation in a court where you're making an accusation or anything. Again, all you're doing is learning how to give a directive. You're just directing it. That's it. It's like the guy on first base. You know, he's the first base coach. He's going to direct the guy on first base whether he should keep going or not. He's there at that one base mark to watch the ball and see how fast you're coming and see how the outfield's reacting and going to let you know whether you should continue on to second base or not. That's all we're doing.
At the top, date of identifiable event. If you remember the utility bill that I showed you, the date that the bill was created was 2/7/2024. So that's where I got that. That's where I got that date from. Amount of debt discharged, I made an error on my 1099-C. It should be $636.06. If you make a mistake on a 1099-C, don't fret, don't trip. Just do a new one. At the top, you're going to check corrected, and you send a corrected copy over to the IRS, okay? This 1099-C, you can see, is a copy B, is a debtor's copy, okay? When you send your 1099-C to the IRS, you're going to send the red copy. You can only get the red copy from the IRS. You cannot download a copy of the 1099-C and mail it to the IRS because they're going to give it back to you, or it's not going to process. You have to get those red forms directly from the IRS.
And you can order them from the IRS, any amount you want. Years back when I first started doing the UCC stuff and was going to get into this 1099 A, B, and C stuff, I ordered a box of each along with the cover sheet, 1099 cover sheet, and all that. Boxes of 100. They send them right out to you. Free. No cost. It's a government publishing office obligation.
And if you need help,
that's why it has that OMB number on there. See the OMB number up here at the top, 1545-1424. That's Office of Management and Budget, and it's a tax form. So that's telling you the budget is a tax budget. No matter how you look at it, every obligation or other security of the United States is a tax issue. Again, because they have a tax treaty with the post office that provides the postal service for the land jurisdiction of the contracting of the sea. Whereas the trust, that's the trust of the air we breathe. Every breath you take is an act of God. If you don't impute that into the paperwork as a contract or as the trust, it's going to come out as a contract.
Could be obligor number 2, Keith. OMB.
Yes. OMB number? Well,
Yeah,
no, the OMB,
yeah, I know it stands for office, but I'm just saying it's also obligor.
I guess I don't understand what you're saying there because I don't compute the Office of Management and Budget with the obligor number other than through the paperwork.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying, like generally, it makes you like some type of obligor. Like if you don't have an OMB number
Oh,
on the road, Keith, the cops, they can't pull you. I mean, they're supposed to talk to you, right?
right. That's what I'm saying. They don't have any instrumentalities in the state that the officers or any of these agencies use that have an OMB number. So what they are is they're using contract forms as an open offer that you can amend to your conditions. If you don't know those conditions to express a trust on those documents as the benefactor, so therefore qualifying your signature as that benefactor, then whoever gets that paper next is going to go ahead and put their signature on it in that capacity, and you're going to be presumed to be the trustee, no matter how you look at it. Every contract is in form of a trust. So qualify your position as the benefactor when they offer it to you, because they can't offer property as a trustee unless it's an investment. So they're looking for an investment. So you have to let them know you're the investor, but the investor is the benefactor. And the true investment is in the usufruct, where you're using that document to get me to put my name on there so you can invest in the name. I'll loan you the name on these conditions.
Okay. And so let's continue. And also you need a form 1096 to transmit. I'm going to, in the ebook, I'm going to go into depth with you about what forms you're going to need, which forms go with what. So
Yes, the 1096 is the cover letter I was talking about. You have to have a cover sheet for it.
that, you know, you'll have an idea how to fill out the 1096. I do everything by mail. I try to stay away from online, like 1099-C, because they don't allow you to enter the information that you need to enter. Like it restricts me too much, and I don't like it. So I just
Right, you can't, it restricts the line item veto overriding. It's got set parameters in the programming that it accepts so that the documentation limits in the electronic form the entrance of any overriding.
just use paper. But when you're sending a copy, you can just do a regular PDF, just fill that information in and print it off, and you can send it. So you don't have to send that carbon copy, because you know that carbon copy sometimes it fades or it's hard to read. So you can go in after you've made a 1099-C on the red form, and you can just open up a 1099-C a PDF and fill in that exact same information that you put on that red copy 1099-A, and you're good to go. Okay. For calendar year, we are in the year 2024. I want you to know that the tax year and calendar year do not mean the same thing. They have two different meanings. We're now in the calendar year of 2024, but we're in the tax year of 2023. Okay. And so let's see, debt description. Okay. A description of the debt. P.O. Box 3765 in Houston, Texas 77253 3765. That is the mailing address to Reliant Energy Retail Holdings. That is the address to where I mailed my instrument. That post office box is now a debtor to me. I'm using their box to secure because it owes me money. Okay. So
That's that lock box I was talking about. She called it a safety deposit box, and it's literally, I think the post office calls it a lock box.
So their mailing, their P.O. box is where you would list the description of the debt. It's there, it's wherever you send this payment, not the physical location. Physical locations can change, but if you think about it, Every time you move, okay, your physical location changes, but the reality is your mailbox doesn't. That's why you do what's called a change of address or forward.
And that's why it's important to understand that residential term and the address thereof. You've got a P.O. box, that's the business address. Okay, so there's a distinct difference between the residential address and a business address, but yet your residential address is somehow defined as your principal place of business.
So that they can forward everything from the previous post office box to the new one. It just has a different identifier. But every place that you've been before, it follows. It goes to the new location. So they can always move from 1201 Fannin Street, but guess what? That P.O. box is going to remain the same into perpetuity. It's never going to change. And so I sent my instrument to that P.O. box. That P.O. box is now a debtor to me until they pay the funds, that negative $636.06 out of that account. Okay. So for your debts, you have to know the difference between a physical address and a mailing address. Anytime you send money somewhere, that safety deposit box becomes a debtor. It is where your order, your money, or you're ordering the payment of money. You sent your money to that box, that P.O. box, and now you own it. You own it until you send me my money. And if you don't send me my money, I'm going to liquidate that post office box to get it.
See what that does? Okay, when it comes to seizures, again, it's the Postal Service that has authority on seizures. Now, what's happened here is she's placed a debt in the hands of the post office with a contract that the Reliant Energy Company already has with them. Now, the post office, as the Postal Regulatory Commission, under 5 CFR 575.102, federal government means all entities of the government of the United States, including United States Postal Service and the Postal Regulatory Commission. So now you've got jurisdiction over all entities of the government of the United States, which is the corporate entities.
And anything that's in the state.
Right. And that's what that 5 CFR 575.102 is telling you in that definition. The definition of federal government is all the corporations. They're the ones that have input into the monetary system. They're the ones that are acting as employees and agents, officers and agents of the government. Everybody else, like I said, when you go down to McDonald's and fill out an application, you qualify your signature and capacity on that. That's a government obligation. That's not an obligation just to McDonald's. It's a government obligation through McDonald's as a trustee under the laws of the United States as a corporate entity of the federal government, regulated by that address they have both on their building and the P.O. box that they use for their business transfers.
Voluntarily or involuntarily. So it's in their best interest. They're more than likely going to voluntarily pay what they owe out of what they owe you from the instrument that you return to them. Okay. If check, the debtor was personally liable for repayment of the debt, yes, you gave them an application. You gave them an application and an open-ended letter of credit. So they're obligated to settle this account, to make this payment to you. They don't have a choice. They don't have an option. Okay. I'm going to go into identifiable event codes more in the future, but for right now, we use letter A for bankruptcy. Every corporation in America is insolvent. They are all bankrupts. Okay. And so since they.
And again, this goes to that administrative offset, the discharge, full acquittance, things like that. When you make a claim, that claim is, again, the stoppage of funding by the United States. That's where all these corporations, again, under federal government, means all entities of the government of the United States. The United States is the corporate entity that rules over all the other corporate entities. And if it itself is insolvent, then the funds that it's providing is merely a that's all they're doing. They're passing the debts on. They're deferring it to someone else at a later time. Nobody's able to fully pay because everything is a negotiable instrument. And when you're the financer, then that's the settlement of the debt. So why would there be a debt if you know you are financing it? You are the lender. Again, I'm going to loan you that name in exchange for the use of the number, but the use of the number is going to be appropriately used as the benefactor and not an obligor. The obligation belongs to the United States. Therefore, it's going to be a benefit of stopping the funds causing a greater debt on the United States.
And like a mortgage, Keith, those are supposed to be for forts and courthouses. Yet here we are mortgaging our life away right into their system.
Right. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, needful places and buildings. Is your house out on the mountain a needful place and building where they have to come out and regulate you? No. They can come out and offer you water. They can come out and offer you utilities, but you don't have to take them. And upon taking them, that still doesn't mean that they have regulatory authority over you.
They are all bankrupts. This means that all the money that they're holding belongs to another person. So, for example, if all the money that I'm holding belongs to someone else, that makes me insolvent, because at any time, if these people decide to come get their money, then I'm left with nothing, because everything that I ever had belonged to someone else. That is bankruptcy. Every company out here is in bankruptcy because all of their assets belong to someone else. It's that simple.
Like I said earlier, that corporation can't exist if not for the people that actually own the assets. The corporations operate on the collateral documentation, and that is the only place they exist other than the building with that address on it. That's as simple as I can put it.
Okay, fair market value of the property. How much is that bill of exchange worth? It's worth $636.06. It's that simple. Okay, so that is the 1099-C in a nutshell. You can do this exact same thing for a mortgage. There are a couple of differences though. Because a mortgage is much higher than $600, you would use registered mail.
See what she said there? Instead of using the certified mail, you would use a registered mail. And again, it goes to that mortgage issue. Again, because it's the Postal Service through the Postal Realty Trust, comma, Inc., period, that has the Securities Exchange Agreement as a real estate investment trust. And the investment, again, is the bonding of the Postal Service number with a street name security that was created by the municipality that named the street. That's why it's a street name, and it's a security because it's bonded with the Postal Service number. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17.
Your house is a node
Okay.
in an investment
Right.
trust.
Correct. A contract postal unit, a node off of that investment trust. Why? Because it's using part of the property of the Postal Service, which is the number. That's the account number of a Postal Service account that is linked through various other accounts, yours included when you attach that address service requested. You go fill out an address change. 18, you move out of mom and dad's house. You go, they tell you specifically, mom and dad do it. Postal Service doesn't tell you to do that. Mom and dad tell you to do that. The school tells you to do that.
You would use registered mail, and because the label is on the instrument, it is considered an internal revenue. It is internal revenue. It is a private transaction. Okay.
Internal revenue. Either way you look at it. One time or another, it was revenued from private to public, and now in your cancellation of debt, you're going to revenue it, noting that it's a private transaction, and therefore cancel the debt on behalf of the United States, thereby stopping a debt against the United States. Why would somebody pose a debt against the United States? Again, corporate or otherwise, if the United States is the one funding it all, supposedly, in bankruptcy.
Okay, when you put that certified mail barcode or registered mail barcode directly onto the instrument, it's not privy to the public. No one can see it because it's private. Excuse me. It's private. Okay, and so I have a video for you guys where I'm going to show you. I mailed the instrument, and I took a video of myself interacting with the postal clerk, so you get to hear what I said to the clerk about the transaction. The clerk had never seen this before. If you guys want to fact check me, go read what the certified mail. I can't remember exactly the section. If you give me a little bit of time, I'll go back into the DMM, which is the manual for the USPS. I have read.
That's the domestic mail manual, as opposed to the international mail manual, IMM versus DMM.
Read this thing. And in the manual, it tells you how to handle registered mail and certified mail. And we've all been doing it wrong by sticking the barcode on the envelope. That don't have no real value. The value is the instrument.
And again, like I said, what I've been doing when I did it, I would cut that barcode in half, and I would put the part on the red label top part on the envelope, and then the barcode that I cut in half would have the numbers on it that I would post on the document inside.
Okay.
And just to
And
clarify,
so,
Keith, certified mail would be like legal mail, right? Delivered by the
Right.
Postal Service, and registered is like for securities by the
Right.
post office.
Right. One is like this one here. You're dealing with a contract form, but in the contract form, you're going to cancel it through the trust side.
you get to hear me interact with the postal clerk. You guys have to understand that the people in these businesses, they don't know this stuff. So,
and a lot of people have researched that clerk's praxis, and that's what we're talking about here, the clerk's praxis. The practice of the clerk is to do certain obligations, and that's all you're doing. They've been doing it wrong. We've been doing it wrong. Like she said, this guy this first time he'd ever heard of it. So how long have we been doing it wrong? How many things have we been doing wrong? And how many people have been doing it wrong that long? It's time to wake up and start doing your research so you know. It's time to quit this belief system. Quit believing that you're just doing your job, because in believing you're just doing your job, that's all you're doing. And it's for comfort and convenience of your own self to take a paycheck home to your own family while destroying other families without even knowing it. You have to understand this profit system. The only way you can profit in this corporate capitalist system is to take advantage of the loss of another man. Period.
So you have to have a little patience. You're going to run into clerks that don't know they're committing fraud. And so you're going to run into clerks that don't know by telling you, oh, you're not supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to put the certified mail or registered mail on the outside of an envelope, that they're interfering with trade, that this is punishable under the federal offense. Like, you can really prosecute them for that. So I want y'all to try to find it in your hearts to have a little bit of empathy and forgiveness.
And again, this goes to the indoctrination level, folks. Like I said, how long have we been doing it wrong? How many things have we been doing wrong? And how many people have been doing it wrong for that long? You know, we've all been indoctrinated. So forgive them, for they know not what they do. Just like you didn't know what they were doing. They don't know what they're doing either.
Because all of us at some point were We were blind at some point. We didn't know, and they don't either. So you have to have a little bit of patience. When you go in there, you cannot just expect them to know this. You have to know it, and you have to give instructions and tell them what to do. And you can do it in a nice way. You don't have to be a nasty person, but you have to know what you're talking about, and you have to talk about, you can't be shaky. You have to talk with some sort of like confidence that you are certain in what you're saying is correct. Okay, and be prepared to show them the manual if you need to, if necessary. Be prepared. But I'm going to release a video to show you how I sent my my bill of exchange, and I sent my 1099-C to Reliant Energy to settle the payment on my quote unquote utility account. Okay, now the certified mail is not complete until Reliant delivers that $636 to my bank account. Okay, this is why you are sending a certified mail. The postmaster, okay, you're sending a certified mail because he's guaranteeing delivery. And delivery does not occur until you get that notification on your phone that you have a deposit.
And that's what I was talking about here not too long ago in regards to the term receiver and receipt. See, when it comes down to that term, again, it goes to the beneficiary, or the benefactor gives to the beneficiary. So it's not until the beneficiary receives that that trust is collapsed. So again, and again, looking back to the prepaid expenses, the insurance video I did talking about the insurance is a prepayment. So once you make a payment for a month, at the end of the month, if you haven't received a benefit, then it's supposed to cycle over. So when they send you a bill, that was an investment. You're supposed to cancel that debt, use that payment that you just got back as in receiving as a benefit to recycle that same contract so that you can benefit. If the benefit doesn't come, then you do the same thing. You cancel that debt, circulate it again. You get the money back. Why not? Understand how it works, and you can work it. It's just like the 12-step programs. It's not going to work unless you work it. Same with the paperwork. I can't give you paperwork, have you walk into court and expect that it's going to work for you. You have to work it.
And then you're going to receive a notification from the post office stating that delivery has been complete. If you ever send an instrument, certified mail or registered mail.
That's the premise that I, in fact, used on this last charge for failure to appear for jury duty. I let them know that I never received anything. If I never received anything, then how can I be part of the benefiting aspect of these proceedings? So they tried to send it again. But again, they didn't send it according to the address format I gave them. So I went ahead and opened it and realized, of course, like they never do, they never send a summons with a waiver of personal jurisdiction. So I line item vetoed all over the summons and then signed it in the qualified benefactor capacity, and then gave them a nice little statement about how there was no waiver of personal jurisdiction. So at this time, I couldn't waive personal jurisdiction. Sorry, your point is mute. So they turned around and discharged it, but then sent me a notice saying that the costs were taxed to the defendant. Wait a minute. You never obtained personal jurisdiction. So they're literally trying to pass on a debt that they created without any personal jurisdiction, stating that they did acquire personal jurisdiction, yet the record reflects that there was no receiver. Where's the receipt?
The transaction is not, it's not considered delivered just because they stuck it in someone's mailbox. That's not how that works. That we were doing this the wrong way. Delivery happens when that money is deposited into your account. That is when delivery occurs. And you'll get a notification from the post office stating that the delivery has happened. And if delivery does not happen, meaning if you check your account and that money isn't delivered, the postmaster owes you money. Now you have a claim against him for non-delivery of service. That's what you paid for. You paid for him to follow this transaction through all the way to the end. And he didn't uphold his end of the deal, so he owes you money now. Okay? So I'm going to get that video. I'm going to upload it so you guys could see it, see what I was talking about. It's called the United States Post Office. Everything goes through the post office. Everything. That's why it is the most powerful court in America. More powerful than the Supreme Court.
Well, Keith, you've been saying that for years.
Yep. Inland marine installation. That's bringing the law of the sea, Admiralty Maritime, inland. Again, I'm signing on the document for the person named in the document. Are you in the land or on the land? The language is very specific, and I'm telling you, folks, those two-letter words make a big difference.
Court, the appellate court, none of those courts hold a candle to the post office. And you guys are all of y'all are postmasters.
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, Congress shall lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. Are you the poster or are you the imposter? Remember, every social site you go to, that little tag there says post. Are you imposting or are you posting? There is a difference. The language is specific. Are you the imposter? Remember that morpheme of the phoneme in the grapheme. Impost. Imposter. Are you a poster, an imposter, an imposter, a poster? What is it? Think about these simple terms and how they're pronounced and how they relate to each other. And you will find all the inconsistencies in the language itself that will help you unravel the confusion. Again, I urge you to unlearn everything you've learned. Go get yourself a concise English handbook. I've got Hans P. Guth, H-A-N-S-P period Guth, G-U-T-H, 4th edition. Great reads. Understand how the language is constructed through the words, and you will learn how to control the contracts so you can benefit from them and relieve all liabilities from parties, because it's the financing. At financing, you are settling the debt, as the beneficiary can come forth and settle things. So as the benefactor giving to the beneficiary, that means the documentation that you're putting the data elements into, you get to settle them. That's what you settle, is the terms and conditions in the document.
Every one of you are postmasters. Okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I'm tired and I'm hungry. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, and I hope that you understand what it is that I'm trying to say to you. And it's okay if you didn't get it the first time. You can go back and you can watch this video a couple of times. You can read it over until it sinks in, because that's what it took for me. I didn't get it the first time. I didn't understand any of it the first time. And so what I had to do was I had to just watch it over and over again until, it began to stick. So don't beat yourself up if you don't get it the first time. Okay? I'm going to upload that video for you tonight so that you can see my interaction with the postal clerk not the postal clerk, the post office clerk, because those clerks work for us, whether you know it or not. But the post office clerk, so you can see how I sent this instrument certified mail. Okay, I do appreciate y'all's time. Thank you guys for the reviews on the ebook. I will start working. I have already began working on the ebook for the 1099-C because it's so many topics that I kind of hit on in this video. And this video is like, we're already up to like an hour amongst all three of the videos. I will probably be talking to y'all for 4 or 5 hours at this point, because there are so many topics that I have to kind of go into detail on. And in the ebooks, I take one issue at a time and I pick it apart as little as I can so that you can understand it before we move on to a different topic. Okay, because if I do it any other way, I'll overwhelm you and then you'll become frustrated and probably give up on it. And I don't want you to give up on it. Okay. Thank you guys for purchasing my ebook. The ebook is doing very well. I'm glad to hear that it is helping you, but some of you guys are messaging me and like, oh, what's next? And I just released the ebook a couple of days ago. There is no way you have mastered the purpose and the function of the SS4 and your 3 entities. I don't believe it. There is no way. I know that some of you guys, you need a remedy right now. And some of you are reaching out to me and I'm trying to get around to you. It's difficult for me to do one-on-one for thousands of people. I want you to understand that I'm only one person.
So
What do you think,
like
John?
the post office could be considered like a court inland, right? And then
Correct.
the courthouses are courts at land.
Correct.
Is that accurate?
Yep. They work at law, whereas the post office is in law.
Right.
That makes sense? Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was just trying to be creative about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way it is, folks. You got to understand, like I said, the language is specific. And so when we see things, I want to show everybody here. What John was mentioning about that obligor number. You see up in the top right-hand corner, it says financial index. Okay. This is from the local courthouse. I got this in 2017, just after I served my sentence on my last charge for sixth offense possession. And you see it says general / civil, and then it's got criminal, and then full. And notice the parentheses around G, parentheses around not the C, but the R. See, I'm still questioning that one. I'm still doing research on that one. I've never seen anything where they put a parenthesis around the second letter or something like that. This is very odd. I've never seen this in the English grammar before. So I'm still looking for it, and I don't know if I'm going to find it, but it has to do with the Government Publishing Office Styles Manual, I'm sure. So I've just got to keep reading that, Chicago Style Manual, things like that until I find it. But I still haven't found that. Anybody finds that, let me know. But then it says last/firm. Now, many of you people already know me, that my, as you see on the screen there, the last name is Keith Little, KEITHLITTLE. So what they did here was they substituted using the last name, and instead of, they used a firm name, which is LITT, all uppercase. And again, I'll remind everybody, nobody taught you in English to write your name in all uppercase at any time. No one's ever taught you that. In fact, English teaches us that all uppercase like this is a title or an acronym, some type of abbreviation. The next one, and of course, you notice it says first name, and it too is in all uppercase. So again, then we see obligor. Now this is the one I did find in the Government Publishing Office Styles Manual. It has a parentheses around the O, and then end parenthesis, and then BLIGOR, and it looks like obligor. Well, in the Publishing Office Styles Manual, when we see that, it says it's an all mark, And according to that all mark, what we're talking about is, and I don't know why my camera quit working again. So let me take a break real quick and freshen up. Greetings, Nicholas. How you doing tonight? Great to see you, brother.
I'm doing very well. Thanks. It's great to see you too. It's been 5 months already.
Yeah, it's been a while. I see you've been active though. Still doing your research and stuff, and it's great to see your smile, brother. I
you.
know this stuff can
appreciate
get hard and really tear people down, and I hate seeing it tear down the younger folks. So it's good to see that smile on you, despite all the research you had to go through. And because when I got into this research, folks, I started out with that general smile and everything, and just go get 'em attitude, just doing what I'm doing. But the more I researched, the more pissed I got, and the more you could see it in me. So my apologies for my attitude over the years, but again, Peter, great to see you. Let me be right. I'll refresh and I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I missed. Oh, perfect. You're already back. That was quick.
Okay. So let me see here. Get my screen share back up. Make sure we're all still up here. Okay, so go ahead. You had something you were going to say first? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, just really quick, I guess. I mean, I guess it's like I would say a pretty good opportunity for you. This gentleman that I've been listening to for a few years now, Ryan from The Last American Vagabond. I saw that he was being like sued by, I think it's the IRS or the government. I can't remember who. But it's like for something from like 2012, one of his tax returns or some shit. But then like the first thing I'm thinking about is, well, I don't think he really knows much about like common law versus maritime law and, the law of the sea versus, God's law and all that stuff. So, and I remembered our conversation, me, you, and Corey from October. And I'm thinking, like, I know that you've mentioned like being willing to like help out or answer any questions for people. And this guy's got a lot of people that watch him. And I think that I already reached out to him and told him about you. And I think that you're like the fucking real deal, which is very much true. And I told him like, yeah, it would be probably beneficial for him to at least spend some time talking with you if you were interested in that. But that's why I also wanted to talk to you about it to see if you'd be open to doing something like that. I told him like even like interviewing you would be really valuable. And he gets like tens of thousands of views. So that's a great way for you to get some eyes on you, but then also help him out potentially and, get him maybe started on that path because he's a deep researcher and he's very objective and he always links and sources everything he talks about and he's open-minded and he questions everything. So I just think that'd be a really good opportunity for you. But yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get together and get on that. So back to this document here. Like I said, I hope he comes back because John was the one that's on this obligor number. And when we see this, like I said, the obligor, the O in parentheses, according to the Government Publishing Office Style Manual, that is an all mark. Kind of like a trademark, it's known as an all mark. Kind of like an earmark, an all mark. And that's truly what it is. It's an earmarking. When you get a Social Security number, that's technically the same thing as an earmarking as you see when they do cattle. They put a little tag in their ear. It's called earmarking. It's got a bunch of numbers on it, identifying that piece of property. So does that number, first of all, before we go any further, does that number exist on you? No. Again, the individual's name and number identify the record. So here we have a record that is using the obligor as an all mark, and it relates to where the signature and how the signature is placed on a document, or the names. So in my research, I found out that very simply, if you look at the construct of these letters in composition style, you see that there's a name on the top, okay? And then you have a signature on the bottom. So that's what the all mark is relative to, is where those names and signatures are placed and how they're qualified. Under this one here, the obligor as an all mark is the Social Security number without dashes. Now you guys can't go using this Social Security number. despite the fact that it's out here in the public, feel free to go ahead and try to use that Social Security number, folks. I guarantee you're going to get in a lot of trouble. Because I've already placed my statement of separation saying that I'm not going to use it. Therefore, it's disqualified for use anymore. They can neither confirm nor deny the existence of that entity as it's meant to be, because there's no record other than the establishment. So they can't deny it because it has been established, but they can't confirm it because it hasn't been organized. Okay? So it's in a state of limbo. So anyway, the idea here is that they've used an obligor number, which is relative to the Social Security number, relative to an obligation. And I've only used the beneficiary number, the Social Security number, as the benefactor, giving it to the beneficiary, if you understand that statement. So when I go down to the local hospital clinic, and as the benefactor, I give the number to the beneficiary. I gave it to the clinic. The clinic just, by my giving them that number, without qualifying the signature in the proper capacity, I just gave them a gift. I abandoned the use of that number for its benefit, and they get to use it for its obligation. And they take the benefit. That's the usufruct swap. Down here, notice it's the last name first, comma, Keith Orland, and it's all uppercase. Notice over here they got the date of birth, the Social Security number. Look at that. They even call it a Social Security number, an SSN. I guess it could be a selective service number, but it's not, because you actually enter the Social Security number without dashes to get to the selective service number. So they are saying this is the Social Security number, but look, that's not a Social Security number. That cannot be a Social Security number if it does not have the dashes. That's a conversion of the Social Security number, and the evidence on the record is stating an inconsistency. What is the inconsistency? It's the inconsistency that they used a number, which is known as a taxpayer identification number, and switched its use from a benefit in its beneficial form to a liability in its obligor form. You see that? That's a simple conversion through a number, regardless of the name. But it's through that conversion that they attach a different name to. That's not the last name. So they used a number and the name in a different capacity than anything I was ever taught or knew about. That is non-disclosure. And that's at an administrative court. A clerk who is running a postal system, property of the Postal Service. You're liking that, aren't you? It's easy words, folks. Understand the language, and you will come out of her.
It's fucking nuts. Like, I just popped in, like 15 minutes ago, so I didn't catch much. But and like, even after like me and you had our interview, like I was still just bullshitting around. I was just still smoking weed and playing video games and just feeling sorry for myself and just being in a state of confusion all the time. It's only been like the past 2 months where I've really been making changes. Going for walks, meditating. I haven't been smoking weed, haven't been playing games, been, have cut out sweets, no coffee, no kratom, still no, porn or anything like that. So I've just been making a lot of changes and just feeling a lot better about myself. So like, I'm totally like way more razor focused, taking things to help decalcify my pineal gland too, and just help my brain out. So like my ability to like take in this information is going to be a lot better. And I still have those books. I like, honestly, I haven't even looked at them yet. Like, just because I was just wasting my fucking time. and doing things that weren't fulfilling. So like, I'm ready to get back into this stuff and learn more about this as well, because it's very important, especially with the way things are going. Like, I don't want to get locked up, honestly. Like, I don't know. And like, if I can do stuff to like avoid these types of things, or just learning more about this, so I'm not getting contracted with their fucking stupid wordplay, all the better, I'd say. Shit's valuable.
Yeah, and that's all it is wordplay, folks. That's the game. It's a game of words. And when, like I said, I'm going to be doing another stream tomorrow night. We're going to go over the money and finance as far as the government obligations and evidence through government documents. And like I showed you right there, that's a government document. That's a court clerk from Black Hawk County that issued a financial index with tax issues on it. And it clearly shows a conversion that none of us knows about. And again, that's the same thing with the medical society. When you look at that prescription, anybody that's gone to the doctor lately and got a medical prescription, look at that prescription document. And up in the top left-hand corner, you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see the first 4 letters of your last name in all upper caps in a yellow square in red or black ink. That's showing you that they converted the last name to its firm name, and they have your social security number. So what they're doing is they're using your information as an investment and then charging you. Sorry about that, folks. So anyway, like I said, I'll be back tomorrow night with some 31 CFR and 31 USC definitions and 31 USC 1501. What is that? What was it? Get the precise documentary evidence requirement for government obligations. And if you understand the nature of the obligation, that's 18 USC 7, which is special maritime territorial jurisdiction for all the contracts, which is a formation of trust under 18 USC 8, obligations and other securities of the United States, under 18 USC 9, vessels of the United States. That's all those federal government, means all entities of the government of the United States, including United States Postal Service and the Postal Regulatory Commission, telling us all those are regulated by the Postal Service. Interesting, huh? I mean, definitions will clear it up for you if you understand concise English in plain writing. Most of these codes will tell you in the title what's going on in very simple language. Rule 17 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure clearly says plaintiff and defendant, colon or semicolon, capacity, semicolon, public officer. That means in English, plain writing, read it backwards, to have the capacity, or to be the public officer is of the capacity of a plaintiff or defendant, saying that if you're not a public officer, you don't have the capacity of a plaintiff or defendant. And this is why they say when you, under Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 4, subsection K, when they send you a summons, you have to have a waiver of personal jurisdiction with it, so that you can give them your person, because it's their job, not yours. That's the only requirement for hiring an attorney, because you can't represent yourself in an administrative court if your entity is being administrated. So anyway, that brings us to the end of our stream tonight. I want to thank John for joining us. Certainly, Nicholas, is great to see you again. You got any final words on the way out?
Yeah, I just really appreciate you having me on. I'm glad I was able to get here right at the tail end of it and be able to talk to you. And it's been quite a while, and I'm just on the up and up, just getting good days, stacking on top of good days. And I want to stay in touch with you. And I'm definitely gonna get you and this guy Ryan connected, because you're gonna fucking blow his mind. And I think it's gonna get you a shit ton of traction too. I'm gonna make sure that he interviews you too, because this shit needs to be known. And you are very concise, and you know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I try to be, and that's why I do these reviews and stuff, because like you said, I've been on this stuff for years. I've been talking about the Postal Service since I ran into Patrick Devine 6 years ago. Went down and met with him a couple times, and then God bless him, he passed on. But the information that he shared with me, every time I turn around, it's spot on. And every time somebody tries to say, well, no, you're misinterpreting it, I'm able to point out exactly how he pointed out, no, it's in plain writing right here. That's basically all he was doing. And he was going to the Series 7 broker's license as a private broker. So not necessarily the license, but the certification. So he didn't need a license, but he could do it on the private side by acting as a co-operator with the other public trustee, transferring the documents for the beneficiary, because he had the knowledge to help make sure the paper was right to begin with. Whereas that's the problem with the beneficiary. Many of us don't know how to make sure the paperwork is right yet. And you technically have to have the experience or knowledge of a Series 7 broker in order to be able to make sure you do that. That's basically the qualification. That's why I say, if you don't understand banking, you shouldn't be handing it over to somebody else that doesn't understand it. Because that's where we're at today. Everybody's been highly indoctrinated. So, again, I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody. Feel free. I do the stream 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and then I'm back again Sunday nights at 9. I try to stick to that schedule. Sometimes I have problems because I've got a companion that has certain needs, disabilities and stuff, but it's, for the most part, I've been able to stick to it, and always glad to have you up. So hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, Keith. Thanks so much. Great seeing you again.
You bet. You too. And so, folks, with that, I want to thank everybody else for your support. Manel, good to see you again. Moonbug, Joshua, I hope you come up sometime. John, thanks for coming up. Yes, John says, and this is in accordance, I'll bring it up sometime. This is Texas Rule of Civil Procedures 12. Technically, you cannot hire an attorney unless you have a board of directors. Now, board of directors is that consolidation of employees or trustees as so assigned under a trust of a corporate structure that has communications with the Federal Reserve as an organized entity. Again, it never happened. I can't hire an attorney. I'm not qualified. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 17. I'm not a public officer or agent under the federal, state, or municipal residential program. Not me. Not a United States citizen. Though that citizenship was conferred upon me, I don't know how to operate that business. I can benefit from it, but I can't operate it. Don't know what you want. All I can do is qualify that I'm the benefactor that gave you the data elements to use in equal consideration for my benefit. I don't know what else to tell you. You don't understand those simple terms, then maybe you need to go back to school. So in the meantime, guys, again, thank everybody. You know me. I love you. I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you and have a good night.